Tonight, 83 new COVID-19 cases recorded in the last 24 hours, as well as 6 deaths, taking cases to date to 44,337 and the death toll now to 744. Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of National Security, Senator Matthew Samuda, says despite the many challenges the prison system has faced due to the COVID-19 pandemic, our prison system has fewer COVID-19 cases than other countries.
We have had significantly less spread than other countries have in our correctional facilities, and that is because from the very beginning, even before the first case of COVID was here, we sat down as a team, we met with the Ministry of Health, we did all the research, look at what was happening elsewhere, and we put in place a plan and we put in place additional infrastructure to support our fight.
Still tonight, residents in Belmont, Westmoreland yesterday marched in an effort to raise road safety awareness.
There's a lot of speeders that go through this town. There's no consideration for the law.
I have to support Bush T and this action here because enough people get killed on this road here already, and we don't want more people to get killed by speeding cars.
Deputy Registrar at the National Children's Registry of the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, Warren Thompson, is encouraging self-reporting by children who are victims of abuse. Good evening. The island recorded 83 new COVID-19 cases in the last 24 hours, as well as 6 deaths, taking the total of cases to date to 44,337 and the death toll to 744. The fatalities include a 41-year-old woman from Manchester, a 96-year-old man also from Manchester, a 93-year-old man from Kingston and St. Andrew, and 3 men from St. Elizabeth aged 53, 61, and 87 years. Of the new cases, 37 are women and 46 are men, ranging in age from 8 months to 93 years. Clarendon, Westmoreland, and St. James recorded 8 cases each. Hanover recorded 3 cases. Kingston and St. Andrew recorded 17 cases. Manchester recorded 1 case. Portland recorded 4 cases. St. Anne, 10. St. Catherine, 13. St. Elizabeth and Trelawney recorded 2 cases each, while St. Thomas recorded 7 cases. Meanwhile, there were 108 recoveries noted for a total of 20,070. In other news tonight, the Government of Canada, through the Canada Fund for Local Initiatives, earlier today donated $11.3 million or 100,000 Canadian dollars to the Ministry of Health and Wellness in support of the government of Jamaica's COVID-19 response. Now, Canada's contribution will support the expansion of the COVID-19 wards by enabling the procurement of 48 hospital beds. High Commissioner of Canada to Jamaica, Emina Tudakovic, during the brief handing over ceremony held at the ministry's offices in New Kingston, noted that this donation is in response to an urgent priority. Minister of Health and Wellness Dr. Christopher Tufton expressed gratitude for the continued cooperation between Canada and Jamaica and offered his appreciation for Canada's generous support of the island's COVID-19 response efforts. Now, the provision of additional beds will help to enhance the capacity and resilience of the health system to provide effective medical care of persons with COVID-19 in Jamaica. Procurement of the beds is to be completed by April 30, 2021. Still making the news tonight, Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of National Security, Senator Matthew Samoda, says despite the many challenges the prison system has faced due to the COVID-19 pandemic, our prison system has fewer COVID-19 cases than other countries.
We've had a number of challenges, right? The pandemic, by its nature, and because it's a viral illness, calls for things like social distancing. That's a term we've all become very comfortable using. But the way correctional facilities are built, both here and abroad, doesn't facilitate social distancing. The very nature of it is that persons are kept indoors, in close quarters, and that in and of itself creates the huge risk that that is why the WHO and PAHO have labeled those incarcerated as particularly vulnerable groups. It's no different in Jamaica. We've had a few outbreaks in particular spaces at different times, but I think it's important to acknowledge the work and significant effort of the team at DCS, both their medical team and their uniformed staff, as well as their civilian staff. We have had significantly less spread than other countries have in our correctional facilities. And that is because from the very beginning, even before the first case of COVID was here, we sat down as a team, we met with the Ministry of Health, we did all the research to look at what was happening elsewhere, and we put in place a plan and we put in place additional infrastructure to support our fight. First, to try and keep COVID cases out of the correctional facilities, and then secondly, if we did have any cases, which we've had a few, that to put in place the systems and infrastructure that facilitate the separation of those cases from the rest of the population.
Now, during our exclusive interview with Senator Samoda, he also outlined measures that have been put in place to ensure the safety of inmates and workers in the correctional system.
We've done all the basics that happen in every business place, that happen in every major home. We've ensured that masks have been provided both to staff and to inmates. We put in place what we needed for additional medical care. We had to convert some rooms, including some rooms that were really set for worship and for education, unfortunately, to be able to facilitate isolation space for this space. But we've done other things that other people haven't necessarily done. One of the tough things that we did was that we had to curtail and suspend visitation to our facilities. Now, this impacts our inmates significantly. The mental health impact of being separated from your family in that manner is unspeakable and something that I don't think we'll know the full impact of for a very long time. But it's one of the ways that we've kept COVID out of our facilities. Another thing, well, and we didn't just leave it at that. We put in place additional counseling. We put in place space for telecounseling and for counseling over Zoom. We did what we could. Now, there is a lot of distrust of some of those mechanisms because it's not culturally how those visits and those conversations happen. But we've done what we can to ease some of that burden. We also, at one point initially, you'll recall, when we were having some challenges nationally, with the first outbreak and spikes that we would have had, we'd curtailed court visits. So the court system went on pause for a while. But then beyond that, we also put in place digital courtrooms for mention dates. So we reduced significantly the need for our inmates and remandees to leave facilities, especially Horizon and the others that have significant numbers of remandees or persons still facing the courts. We believe this has kept our spread down, and it is why we've had a very low infection rate, and we've had an even lower death rate. I believe we've only had 2 inmate deaths, and we're thankful for that. I mean, knock on wood, it's a daily fight. The team meets every single Thursday morning to review protocols, to review what we're doing. We're now actively pursuing our own vaccination program, even though there is quite a bit of vaccine hesitancy within.
Senator Samoda further stated that the ministry is ready should there be a spike in COVID-19 cases in the prison system.
We coordinate very closely with the Ministry of Health. We looked very closely at how we would move prisoners to and fro. We looked at what medical care we could put in at the primary point of infection being in the facilities. So, you bought extra beds, you put in place, you make sure you have adequate stocks of the medication that you require. You did training of inmates, especially well-behaving ones, to make sure that you had additional medical orderlies. And you have very direct protocols with the public health system. So should you have a spike, or should you need to bring inmates for additional medical care that you cannot provide in your facilities, there are clear procedures and allocations made of space to ensure that you're able to manage these cases in collaboration with the Ministry of Health. So I knock on wood again, and we pray to God that we don't have that sort of spike. But we've put in place what we believe we can for that situation, should it occur.
Meanwhile, Senator Matthew Samuda, during his interview with our news team, reported that there is a 13% decline in crime when compared with last year. However, it is not being felt due to many incidents of crime still happening.
Year to date, we track 6 main categories of crime, not to say that there are not other categories of crime. But in those 6 categories of crime, 4 are down. Your overall crime statistics year to date, as published on the JCF website weekly, show that there's a 13% decline in total crime year to date when compared with last year. And this, to be noted, is in line with declines you had last year as well, and declines the year before, and declines the year before that. You've had double-digit declines in total crime every year for the last 4 or 5 years. Person will say, but I don't feel like that. And you say, well, why is that? And the fact is we still have, even with those declines, you still have far too many incidents in each of those categories. Now, we can take out and break it down first just so that people understand. Acquisitory crime, in terms of how we generally track it, is in 3 subcategories. It's larceny, robbery, and break-ins. Each of those categories have been down every year since 2016. If you were to compare a 4-year block from 2012 to 2015 over 2016 to 2019, across those 3 categories, you're down almost 50% if you're to amalgamate the total statistics. And that's on the back of some of the things you've done, like investing in Jamaica Eye, like investing in your forensics capacity and your fingerprint capacity, like strengthening the investigative capacity of the force, like investing in your quick response teams with additional bikes and that sort of thing. So your acquisitory crimes are going in the direction you want them to. They're still higher than you should be comfortable with, and we have to work, redouble our efforts, and not be complacent in terms of any gains that have been made there. But they're down significantly.
He also pointed out that there is a challenge with gang violence.
What you find is that because persons share incidents of crime in a different way than they used to 10 years ago, it feels worse. So if a lady's handbag is stolen in a parking lot, oh my God, crime is out of control because it's in your face, you're seeing it, you're feeling it. And I can't tell people not to feel it because when I see it, I get anxious.
It's on social media.
It is, and you see it everywhere when it happens. However, the statistics don't support that crime is up or that acquisitory crime is up. There is, however, a massive challenge with gang violence, largely committed with the gun. Now, that comes under what we call serious and violent crimes, which is broken into 4 categories: aggravated assault, rape, shootings with intent, and murder. The 2 first categories, sometimes people say, I don't feel like that. I say, well, that's what it is though. I understand feelings, and we have to do a lot more to communicate with the public so that they understand where we're having successes and where we're having failures, because it's a mixed bag, right? You have some successes and you have some failures, and the failures hurt the public more than you want to have happen. But if you look at the successes, your aggravated assault numbers are way down, and that's on the back of significant community intervention done, not just with the police, but in a number of spaces. Your rape numbers are also down significantly, and persons say, well, they're not reporting it. I say, well, there's never been a situation in any country where all rapes are reported. And there's nothing now to suggest that you would have less reported rapes or gender-based violence or any attacks than you would have had before, because the police have put in not just new protocols in terms of how you handle persons who come to report crime, but we've also put in place infrastructure.
Senator Samuda says with the most advanced DNA labs in the region, they are now able to catch the perpetrators of rapes earlier and ensure convictions when they are placed before the courts.
Now, so persons would say, well, why would something like rape be done? Well, that's an example of continuity between opposition and government. The opposition passed a law, I believe it was in the latter part of 2014 or early 2015, on, which is commonly referred to as the DNA legislation. That legislation gave way for us to make the investment in the DNA laboratory. Yes. I believe we invested just over 600 million in the DNA lab. And now we have one of the most advanced DNA labs in the region. even to some of our, compared to neighbors north, south, and east, we have a very, very good facility, and we have technical people that are making their names both locally and abroad as they comment on cases. Now, why this is important is that what you've stopped is significant cases where persons don't get a chance to become serial rapists in the way that they could have in the past. Because the DNA legislation is allowing us, and the lab is allowing us to catch people earlier and to ensure that when they go before the courts, they're convicted because the evidence is strong. So that shows that when investments are made on the back of strong laws, you can have success. You've had the investments made to deal with acquisitory crimes. You've made organizational changes. You've had success. You changed some laws. You've had and invested in your DNA lab. You've had some success in the area of rape. Now, I mean, I want us to get to zero. We're nowhere near where we need to be.
Yes.
But the fact that you have consistent declines year after year since 2015 should give the country some comfort.
Tune in to the full interview tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. immediately following our newscast. As we continue with the news tonight, the St. Elizabeth police have arrested and charged 37-year-old Conroy Stone of Cuffes Pen District with the murder of 22-year-old Safa Green of the same community. Reports coming into our news center tonight are that at approximately 7 p.m. on Sunday, March 21, 2021, Stone and another man took Green to the hospital with a stab wound to the chest. The police were alerted and they told law enforcement officers that they found Mr. Green along a roadway. Upon further investigations, detectives discovered that the story was concocted and Stone was implicated as the person who stabbed Mr. Green. On Monday, April 19, Stone was arrested and charged following an interview with his attorney. His court date is being finalized. Still making the news tonight, the 4 men suspected of being involved in a shooting incident who were arrested when a police team intercepted their motor vehicle at the intersection of Law Street and George's Lane in the Kingston Central Division on April 16 have been charged. They are 28-year-old Tucson Baker of Cloverly Road, Kingston, 26-year-old Renardo McLeod of Lisette Road, Kingston, 28-year-old Kentis Williston of Park Lane, Kingston, and 27-year-old Stephen Borland, otherwise called Birdie, of Queen Street, Kingston. Reports coming into our news center are that at approximately 6 p.m., a police team was on patrol in the downtown Kingston area when they heard explosions and went to investigate. Now, upon their arrival, a Toyota Probox motor car was seen speeding off. The police pursued, and the Toyota Probox motor vehicle subsequently collided with another police vehicle along the Sir Florizel Glasspole Highway in the Kingston Eastern Division and overturned. During a search of the Probox, one Smith & Wesson Springfield pistol containing 3 9mm rounds and one Glock 17 pistol containing 13 9mm rounds were found inside the vehicle. Baker, McLeod, Williston, and Borland were arrested and subsequently charged after an interview. Their court dates are being finalized. Continuing with the news tonight, residents in Belmont, Westmoreland, yesterday marched in an effort to bring awareness to road safety. A native of Canada who has been living in Belmont for the past year, Jeff McMurray, also known to the locals as Bush T, explained that he was hit by a car and left to die on the side of the road. He urged motorists to obey the law and drive with caution.
There's a lot of speeders that go through this town. There's no consideration for the law. There's no road law enforcement here. You know, I drive a motorcycle, or at least I used to, and I've been driving it every day for more than a year. All over Jamaica I've traveled, up and down the mountains and the roadways. I'm a very experienced rider. and I'm licensed, insured, the whole 9 yards. And but one fine day, back in January, mid-January, I was struck down by a car that was speeding through the center of town with his wheels over the center line. And he came around a curve when I was trying to come out of a driveway, and before I had a chance to cross the road, he took me out, and my injuries were life-changing, you know. And it's been 3 months now. I had to wait 2.5 months to get surgery on my arm and leg. Both my leg and arm were broken and shattered. My foot still needs a lot of work, reconstructive surgery. The bones are shattered in my foot. You know, a lot of damage. So, you know, beyond what happened there, what happened next was the real nightmare, was the real Jamaican experience, what I've seen before me many times over the past year. I've seen people getting scraped up off the road and thrown into the back of a police pickup truck to be taken to the hospital, and I couldn't imagine how horrible that was, but I actually experienced it firsthand.
Mr. McMurray explained how he has been coping with injuries he sustained from the accident.
3 months ago, I got hit, and for 2.5 months, I carried my broken bones around in like luggage. And the thing was, I was suffering because I was trying to get surgery, and I couldn't sleep at night because I would lay down or something, and any little move that I make, the bones inside my leg are poking around and, you know, causing me further injury. Right. So I was in constant pain, like 24 hours a day, and up until the surgery. And now I'm facing a different kind of pain, because now that the surgery's done, and they twisted the bone and put it back into place, but all the tendons and muscles and everything, yeah, are all locked up in here. And I can't close my fist, and I can't bend my elbow, and when they took me into the hospital in Savlamar, I begged them profusely to cut the foot off, because I said, hey, if you take that up, I'll be up dancing with a prosthetic leg within a week. But guess what? It's been 3 months now, and the foot is still causing me so much discomfort, it's unbelievable. I'm never going to be able to put it on the ground. I got to go back and see the orthopedic surgeon in 3 months, and I'm told not to touch the ground with my foot, or my legs are all going to break apart again. You know, so I have to stay off. I got to give an opportunity for that other bone to grow back and mend itself inside my leg, because they didn't fix it during the surgery.
A friend and resident of Belmont also pointed out that too many persons are being killed due to speeding motorists.
I'm Getty, and I live here in Belmont for many years, and I have to support Bush T and this action here, because enough people get killed on this road here already, and we don't want more people to get killed by speeding cars.
I'm Gysi, I'm from Germany. I live in Belmont here since about 5 years. Yeah, and I know Bush T from the beginning when he was here. He was living in my lane, and I support this action because it's really important. This road was killing so many people already, and it's really dangerous to use the road, you know, for also pedestrians and bicycles. You never can use this road. You have to fear for your life.
Hello, my friends. My name is Anthony Hugman, and I support Bush T and all the people here for the sake of speed kills. Speed kills.
I'm from Belgium originally, but I live a little further here in Bluefields. So why I support the march is because it's too many people get killed here, too many accidents happen here, terrible accidents, and people don't seem to learn. But to me, personally, basically, what is the problem? This road shouldn't even be here. There is no space for people walking, for people riding, bike, nothing at all. The reason, one of the big reasons why the taxi drivers drive so fast, first of all, it's in the nature, all right? Every time we come through here, I have to tell them slow down. There's people living here. I saw school children literally jumping in the gutter. Otherwise, they would have been dead by trucks flying through here, you know?
Now, other residents who are also in support of the March for Road Safety are seeking the government's assistance in implementing stricter laws to help reduce speeding motorists along the roadways.
I'm from Belmont, and I support Bush T and his march for safety. It's really true what he's saying about the speeding.
And I support Bush T by saying speed kill. If I was the government, I think I would make all my road 50 kilo. If you say the majority of the road is 50 kilo, make all road 50 kilo. And all vehicles from Japan, Europe and America coming to Jamaica must go 50 kilo. Yeah, cause if you crash head on 50 kilo per hour, you're not gonna die. But when you're going 260 kilo and you crash head on or somewhere, you're gonna die.
And those are some of the stories making news. We will return with other stories as 14 primary, high, and tertiary level students were on Monday presented with tablets and laptops by MP for St. James South and Minister of State in the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development, the Honorable Homer Davis, and Deputy Registrar at the National Children's Registry, NCR, of the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, Warren Thompson, is encouraging self-reporting by children who are victims of abuse. But first, we'll go to a break and then we'll join Christopher Scott with the very latest in sports.